All right, campers. Sorry you can't be here at Archery, but we're going to teach a little bit of archery skill here today. Some of you have bows at home and targets. Maybe this will encourage you to get a bow. Remember, when getting a bow, don't get one too big to start with. The other thing is, make sure you're not doing it without your parents, okay? So you've got to be doing it with around an adult or a parent, okay? So some of the things we're going to go over here in archery. We got a new archery range here. Our targets are 10, 20, and 30 yards away. We have a shooting line here. Here at camp, you do not put an arrow in a bow until we say fire or fire zone, or some say red zone, okay? We call it fire zone. Safe zone, that means bows are down, and then you go get our arrows, okay? So let's start off with the straight bow. This is what we call a straight bow. If you unstring it, this is how you unstring it. It comes out straight. Yes, it gets folded up into so that you can actually take it with you. Proper way of stringing a bow is to make sure the loop is hooked around the bottom end. It slides into the handle part. You press down on the ground with it, bend down on it, and be careful of putting it through, okay? If you're a little bit smaller, obviously I can just reach out and push down on this bow, all right? But if you're a little bit smaller, Lucy, you would put your left foot through. Now put your left hand up here on the bow, just the bow, put your right hand on the string, and you would pull down with your leg and your foot, and that way you can take the string on. See how it is? All right, now pull your foot back through. So if you're younger and smaller, that's how you would do it. Rest it against your foot, put one leg through, pull it up close to you, and pull down and undo it, okay? So the straight bow, this is a left-handed and a right-handed bow. I am right-handed, so I'm shooting with my right hand, okay? Many people get that confused. I'm holding the bow with my left, I'm shooting with my right. Just like you would throw a baseball, you're picture it like you're throwing an arrow, okay? So I'm holding the bow with my left hand. The arrow always goes on the side that you're holding the bow. If I'm right-handed, the arrow's going on the left side, okay? We are never putting it on the other side here, okay? Unless you're left-handed, then you'd hold it with your right hand, and the arrow would go on that side. All right, so arrow is always pointing down to the target. I like to instruct the kids. I like to hold the bow in the left hand. That's all the job it does. Your right hand takes care of the arrow. Don't try to fiddle with trying to hold the arrow with both hands. Left hand on the bow, right hand takes care of the arrow. We call knocking it. This part of the arrow is the knock. It goes in, if you have beads on your arrow, on your bowstring, it will go in between the beads. You can buy these little beads. You can put them on any bow. For your own bow, they have a special square for it. You can take Dad's square out of the carpentry box and make sure you get it square. This beads here, this arrow wants to be square with your rest, your bow rest, okay? So, hand on the grip, you got your arrow knocked. We are hooking at least 3 fingers. Some kids like to use 4. I like to use 3, 1 above, 2 below. We are not gripping it like a fist up here, okay? You're trying to hook it here, because when you let go of the bow way up here, you're going to roll the string and the arrow's going to go funny. You're hooking 3 fingers onto your bowstring like this, okay? Now, all you want to do is make a hook with your fingers. Now, sometimes people have a problem with the arrow doing this off of the bow, okay? When you're doing that, the cause of that is this hand squeezing the string while you're pulling back. The more I start squeezing this hand, the more this arrow takes off, okay? So I just want to hook it, pull it back, okay? So fire zone, nobody's in the way down here, so now we're going to start shooting. One of the first things when you're shooting a bow and arrow is you're going to bring it back to what we call an anchor point on your face, okay? I like to use the vein here. These are called veins right here on the arrow. When you knock the arrow, the odd vein is sticking out, not inward. This would be the wrong way around, because then what's going to happen is this vane's going to bounce off of this arrow, off the bow handle, the rest, and do something funny. Okay, so we're going to knock this like that. We're going to hook our 3 fingers. We're going to hold our bow loosely. You're not gripping it because you can twist the bow the harder you grip it. Holding it loosely, holding our fingers out like this. We're going to bring it back to an anchor point. I like to stick my finger, in this case I can't bring it back too far. This forearm is partly angled. Okay? Now the more you bend your wrist like this, the more that string is going to chafe your wrist. So when you shoot and the string hits your arm, you go, ah, that burns. It's because you bent your wrist in too far. Okay? Let it push against your thumb. This hand here, you're actually pushing against your thumb. You shouldn't need your finger up on the arrow. You're going to bring back, I'm going to stick my thumb right here in my mouth, so that every shot, this is where my anchor point is. Okay? So if I want to go up and down, notice I'm not pulling it back to my nose and looking down my arrow. Okay? We call this instinct shooting. Some call it judgment shooting. You don't have a sight on here to look through. The best way, we always start with a short target as close as possible. Number 1, so you don't lose your arrows. Number 2, so that you can tell where it's going. If this is the first time you're doing it, it's a good idea for someone. Christina can come up here and look over my shoulder. If this is the first time I'm pulling back here. She can actually look down the arrow from behind and say, you're aiming, you gotta go to the left or to the right, or too high or too low. Okay? Again, we're not looking through a sight. It's instinct shooting. So I got my hand back, anchor point, I'm looking down, and you just let go. Concentrate on this hand staying right here. Sometimes when people shoot, you'll see their hand go flying up like this. And that's going to cause your arrow to go in different directions also. This bow, after you shoot, everything should stay the same. The only thing that's moving is your fingers. Okay? This is the only part that's moving when you're shooting. Okay? And once again, we lay the arrow in the rest, knock it, odd vane up in the air, 3 fingers around. I lift it up, I draw back, I got my finger on my anchor point. I like that last shot. So the only thing, my bow is still here, my hand is still here, my elbow's up. One thing I didn't mention, when you're drawing, don't try to draw your elbow down here. Keep your elbow up here in the air. Okay? Now that's a straight bow. Alright, now let's move on to the compound bow. We did a straight bow. There's also what we call a recurve bow. That's much like the straight bow. The only difference is the limbs curve at the ends. And this is a compound bow, and they come in many different sizes and shapes, different poundage. This is adjustable. You tighten these in or loosen these in. This needs to be done by a bow shop or an adult, not you kids. But you can strengthen it, make it higher in poundage. In other words, the poundage is how much weight it's pulling back when you pull it. Nice part about a compound, it pulls back and then it releases so that it's easier to hang on to a little bit longer. You'll notice this rest is a little bit different. This is what we call a whisker biscuit. It's really nice because it holds the arrow, it doesn't fall off. Same thing on shooting. We have our beads, we're going to lock our fingers around, the same thing, okay? These here, you do not take the string on and off like you do the straight bow. This is for a bow shop. They have a vise to put it in and they can redo the strings. This one here really should be, you start seeing fraying here. This is not the string itself. This is a band around it that came loose. But as your string starts fraying, then take it to a bow shop, have them fix it, okay? So, same idea. We're going to take our bow left hand. This is only a right-handed bow. You cannot switch sides with this, okay? This is the way it's designed. The rest is on this side only. So we're going to take our arrow, we're going to lock it right into that whisker biscuit. We're going to knock it, okay? Same thing, 3 fingers. We're going to pull it up, pull it back. I'm going to find my anchor point, my thumb in my lip here. And then the only thing that moves is our fingers, okay? So compound bow. This here, another right-handed bow. I wanted to bring this one out just because I want you to notice the difference. Like, I have to get used to the same bow, but this one here, I have to change my anchor point. We're going to do the same thing. Whisker biscuit, knock the arrow, and I'm going to put 3 fingers around. But notice on this one here, this one draws back farther. So instead of up here, I want to go all the way back. So this one here, if I'm shooting regularly to this one, I got to find a new anchor point, okay? So in this case, I like tuck my thumb right behind my ear, or right under my ear, okay? And again, only thing that moves, my fingers. So depending on the bow, find your anchor point. So now if I shoot low, that means I got to adjust with this hand, okay? If I shoot high, again, the adjustment is always going to be, with this arm out here, left, right, up, and down. I never change this hand. This hand's always what we call in my anchor point, okay? One more shot, draw back, I got my anchor point here. I'm visualizing where that arrow is going to go, and let go. All right, one thing I was going to mention is when you're taking arrows out of a target, usually they're smaller than this, you don't have this big a target at home. Maybe your local farmer has a big round bale. They work pretty well. You can buy these faces easily. But when you're pulling an arrow out of any target, put your hand, separate your fingers, doesn't matter which fingers, put your fingers around the arrow, push against it, and pull it out. Now, if you have an arrow, we haven't got any here right now, but if you have an arrow that's all the way through, so the veins are stuck in there, the best thing is go on the other side and pull it the rest of the way out, okay? Don't try to rip it back through and mess up your veins, okay? But remember, put your hand on the target, surround your fingers around the arrow, and pull it out nice and gentle, okay? Keeping that safe. Be careful, like I was just doing, be careful waving your arrows around, hitting your face. Be careful throwing them down on the ground. You don't step on them, okay? So, hope that helps. Have a good time. We'll see your videos. But give us your videos of you shooting, again, with your parents' permission. Any questions on bows and archery, give us a call. All right, kids, we're going to come right back with our staff here doing a little competition. They didn't put any arrows in their bows yet until we say fire zone. So fire zone, ladies. Shot and all arrows, so then we'd say safe zone, and they would go get their arrows. They're going to go count their scores, and we'll get back to you on what their score is.
Hey guys, so we just did our competition, and we're going to tell you how much we got. How many points did you get? She got 2, I got 9.
I got 14. I got 4.
So Katie won our competition today. Let us know what y'all did. If you had a competition, let us know who won. We love you, we miss you, we wish you could be here. But comment and let us know how it went for you.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.